in the Memorial Day weekend, keeping up with everything this afternoon. Not many major heavy headlines, a lot of interesting stuff in the news, but we're on it. Your phone calls too. A little more room for that this hour if y'all want to get in here. 545-9950. Axiom Tax Resolution Group bringing you the show tonight. Been telling you about those outrage stories of the fraud investigations. That we got a dude on the run that jumped off a 4-story balcony today in Minnesota to get away from the feds. There's a warrant out for him. Incredible video of him limping around. All that's your money. I mean, and then the sad thing is, not only did the government take it out of your hide, if they think you owe them more than you think you owe them, they're going to come after you with an incredible viciousness. It's just, they've got the power to do it. It's funny, they didn't go after the people that were stealing the money, but they'll come after us to pay up. It's just, that's the system right now. And hopefully it's going to improve. But for now, that's it. So you need to have an expert to help you if you're getting harassed by the IRS. I mean, look, they could be right. You could owe them the money and just be overwhelmed. There are actually programs to help you settle for less than that owed amount. Yep, it's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Sometimes people qualify for up to 80% off what they owe. That could get you some relief in your life. Congress gave some breathing room. They didn't want debtors' prisons in the country, so they set that up years ago. They also set up protections so that the government doesn't get too aggressive or egregious and flipping your life upside down trying to collect money from you. So know those rights, and Perry Cronin at Axiom Tax Resolution Group can help you assert that and make the harassment stop. Then at least you can sleep knowing it's being worked on. And here's the truth, in fairness to the IRS, if you're not running from them, they'll actually work with you. If you've got the right expert and they know you know your rights and what the law is, they'll work with you and you can get it all settled and get it behind you and get some peace. And Perry is just a straight expert, knows as much or more about this stuff as anybody in the world, and he's right here in Birmingham. It's Axiom Tax Resolution Group, 205tax.com, 205tax.com. Y'all reach out to him and get some peace in your life. Man, I'm scrolling through all these headlines today. It's been kind of a weird day. I think we've got this flurry of random news ahead of tomorrow, which will probably be a big fat lull. Somebody messaged over and said, what's the update on the Senate and the races and the primaries? There's not much going on. I went through some of this earlier today. I think the campaign's caught a breath and just keep rolling. You still hear some of the ads going. Of course, the Senate race being the most high-profile race. Everybody's full tilt boogie. Barry Moore today rolling out some pretty large endorsements. You've got organizations like the Farmers Federation that have gotten behind Barry Moore. Makes sense. I mean, when you come out on top as the front runner with the margin that he had, some folks are going to hedge their bets and get behind who looks like a possible winner in this thing. And 4 weeks is a pretty compressed amount of time. But we haven't seen anything from Steve Marshall. We're not sure even if he's going to endorse or if that'll carry a lot of weight. I think it'll carry some. But here we go with all that. Of course, a holiday weekend, a 3-day weekend, that sort of people sort of dial out and just kind of drop it for a little while and move on to other things over the weekend. And that's what we're up against now. But I expect by next week, the advertising strategies will shift. Accusations may start flying. I know they're going to spend some time fundraising and getting money in the door. Got to have gas in the tank to get through a primary. So there's not really, other than that, not a whole lot to update on so far today. Let me see what else we got. Let me talk about the weather real quick. Make sure we got that covered again. Increasing chances of more severe level thunderstorms as the days roll on the next several days. We're kind of in a summer pattern where the air is just thick and soupy, and with the heating of the day, these storms will pop up and roll around. And we definitely need the rain, as we've talked about for weeks now, every time we get these. But to get that, you got to deal with some thunderstorms sometimes and some other things. So just know that there's some out there this afternoon. You could hear some thunder bumpers tonight as you're trying to sleep. But there's that. 545-9950 if you want to get on the show tonight. Bring it. We'll put you on the radio. Let me talk about these Republicans in the Senate, and then I'll get on to some other random stuff as we sweep up and close up this afternoon. The Republicans today took off and went home till June in the Senate. And I know probably with everything else going on, you're not keeping up with too much Senate activity, but we've still got this bill that we were forced to have to deal with again because the Senate parliamentarian shut down the rule. They're sort of the rule-making referee in the Senate. By the way, a total left-wing Democrat, put into that position by Harry Reid and maintained by McConnell and Thune. By the way, somebody's got to run against Thune back in. I don't know there's much we can do about him the rest of the year, and I'm not sure when his term is up. There's some talk that, believe it or not, Kristi Noem would go back home and run against him for the United States Senate. I wouldn't be opposed to that. She's well known enough there. I'm not sure what her popularity is there nowadays, but she was popular when she was governor. Somebody's got to take this guy out. They got to Massey this guy. Massey's name is a verb now. Good. That's got to happen. He's ridiculous. If the existing senators had any balls, they just replace him as majority leader as soon as this term is over. I mean, you can do it midterm. It's too ugly. Probably don't want to do it right now just because of the politics of it. This guy's ineffective. And I know he's disappointed Trump. Trump's now feuding with them after he didn't endorse their boy Cornyn and Republicans. I just talked about it a second ago. They're good at forming circular firing squads, and they're doing it again with the Senate. Now back to what they did today. So they were fighting today over trying to get together with the House and redo the bill to, my understanding is to fund Border Patrol and ICE and some of those other agencies that the Democrats carved out, put up a roadblock to, had a partial government shutdown, made asses of themselves, punished regular people out here in the world and those government workers and their families with their stunt. But the Republicans had to do an end run to reconcile, to use reconciliation. Y'all tell me if I get confusing, and I'm trying not to go too fast with it. But they had to use a procedural technique called reconciliation to try to shove that funding through and get around the Democrats' filibuster. Well, then the parliamentarian came along and said, nope, you couldn't include that funding in reconciliation, pretty much killing the funding. So now they were back to square one. Instead of solving the problem and staying in town because it's a holiday weekend, they went home today. They didn't get reconciled with the House. There was some plan to move back and forth between the two chambers, take votes tomorrow, try to shove something through under a different framework. They went home till June. So they're not just taking the 3-day weekend. They're gone next week. They'll be back sometime in June. They're just not getting their job done. It is not much different, if you ask me, than the Democrats causing all this trouble with the filibuster. I mean, you're either going to fight the filibuster and run it over, or you're just going to play along with it and let the minority have all the power in that chamber, which is what Thune is doing. The Republicans do not understand how to use the power that they have. The Democrats, to their credit, you give them the slimmest of majorities, and they'll crank up the steamroller and start running over people with it. Here are the Republicans with the Queensberry rules over there in the Senate deciding, well, you know, there's just not a whole lot we can do. Kind of like the Kay Ivey move with the redistricting. Well, you know, our hands are tied. That was her first reaction to a landmark Supreme Court rule. Not much we can do. We under the auspices of the court. That is, these people surrender before they even fight. And so they've done it again. They're going home. They got plans. And let me tell you how that works. I'm being highly cynical this afternoon, but I've seen it firsthand. So they, when they've got a normal schedule of a holiday weekend coming up, a lot of them will start, you know, they'll sort of with a wink and a nod agree, well, we're just going to take that week off. No sense in coming back after the Memorial Day. We'll come back to work in June. They'll decide that back in January. So what happens? They all start making their plans. They're either getting on junkets paid for by lobbyists or some phony official visit to somewhere that the government pays for. That's what they call a CODEL, a congressional delegation visit. The House side does this too. Or they do have family plans. They got vacation plans with their families back home, and they'll book their stuff. And so then it comes down to them interrupting their lives and what they've got planned for May. None of us want our vacations ruined, but they've got an option to put the people of this country first, these organizations that deserve clear funding, and get these matters resolved and put up a fight for the rest of us. and they got a choice of doing the right thing or going on with their vacation plans. I mean, they got a beach condo booked, so they're going to stick with their plan. So that's all this is about. It's not about the fact that they came to an impasse and the parliamentarian threw them off. They were going to take that week off no matter what, because their lifestyle is more important than any kind of demonstration that they're getting it done. And I told y'all after Trump won, there was all this optimism of all this reform. He can't do it without a cooperative Congress. He can do a lot, but it's all reversible without real help from his own party in the United States Senate. And I told y'all the day after, I'll never forget it. And yeah, I'm pulling out the I told you so card. I said it's going to be the Republicans in the Senate that let us down. They do it every time. They wouldn't fix Obamacare. They wouldn't build the border wall in the first term. And now they won't stop the filibuster. They won't fix our election laws. They won't help get the government funding. They're letting these incompetent maniacs in the Democrat Party run all over them. You know what? And it's what the country's sick of it. And it's why Cassidy just got his ass beat last weekend. It's why Cornyn is about to get his ass beat. It's why Massey got his ass beat. It's why all those Indiana Republicans that didn't have enough balls to redistrict their state a couple of weeks ago, they got thrown out and replaced by people that will fight. It's all about the fight. Even if you lose, if you're fighting, hey, you got our respect. These country club, cheese-eating, French flag-waving surrender monkeys don't care to fight anybody. They just want the status. Country's tired of it. And there's a few more of them that need to get massied as well, if you ask me. And today was just another one of those things. In the midst of all that they got bogged down over a fight over this victims fund from January 6th. Congress had funded some money in there to pay these people that were railroaded by the government for trespassing on January the 6th. There was no insurrection on January the 6th. That was total fraud, made up stuff. But the left keeps convincing themselves that these people were insurrectionists and don't deserve compensation. So there's always going to be a fight over who's eligible for this money. They got bogged down on that today. Threw their hands up and went home. Told y'all. Distinctive Pools bringing you the show tonight. DistinctivePools.com. DistinctivePools.com. Y'all, this is Gary Levesque's outfit. He can absolutely build you something beautiful. They've got tools and techniques right now to show you pictures of what it's going to look like. Get it all drawn out. You need a plan. You need a design. And from the design, you can do incredible work. They've got finance companies to help you finance it. It's hard to know what's going to fit and what's going to work and what's in your budget till you at least do some due diligence. It's not enough to just stare out the window and imagine it. Let's get to work. Let's find out what's going on and see if you can get it done. Gary and his team will do everything they can to get you there. It's Distinctive Pools. Gary Levesque's been building these things for more than 40 years by now. And with his team as well, veterans all in hardscapes and pools, it'll be built right. Build it right with DistinctivePools.com, DistinctivePools.com. It's 5:22, Leland Live. Let's hit these phones, and we'll get a few calls in here while we close things down this afternoon. We'll start with Natalie over on line 4. What's up, Natalie?
Yes, I just wanted to ask a question. So I listened to your interview the other day, yesterday or day before, with Mitchell,
Yeah.
and I was really, really impressed. Everything he said was basically everything that I kind of want done. The whole law and order. I didn't like the commercial either. I think you shared that, but I do like the interview, and I was wondering, did he pull through, or because I don't know? I haven't.
He's in a runoff with Catherine Robinson Robertson for the office, and you'll be hearing from both of them for the next 4 weeks, and they'll be on your ballot on June the 16th.
All right. Well, I'm going to be there and vote for him again because I thought he made a lot of sense. That's nice.
Well, thank you, Natalie. I'm sure he'll be glad to hear that. Good girl. Good call.
And I enjoyed your interview. Your interview was great.
We're going to try to get them all. Now that we're narrowed down to just 2 people in each of these races, I'm going to try to get everybody through here over the next few weeks. Let's get. By the way, before I get Spider Monkey, Hop Along in Minnesota, the guy that jumped off the balcony and hopped off on 1 foot, he has now been caught. They have caught him. The Somalian that was running the fraud ring stole millions of dollars, $3.3 million. They caught and arrested him. Can't get far on one leg. That's a little rule to live by. Spider Monkey's on line 1. What's up, Spider Monkey?
Well, he must have known something about John Wilkes Booth. Take that effort.
Yep.
Listen.
There he is in the truck.
I'm really just reporting I-22 West past 78 Junction is becoming a parking lot real quick. There's just been a accident involving oversized, and it looked like there was multiple vehicles involved spread across the road. So, and emergency vehicles were just getting to it. So, I just thought I'd report that. Hey, one thing everybody needs to know: we ain't playing no games out here. We're just trying to make a living, and want everybody to get home safe. So, don't pass big trucks on the right.
No doubt. There you go. Good word.
Save a life.
Y'all be careful out there. Yeah, and I think, with it raining too, y'all give everybody plenty of room out there while the afternoon storms come down. Let's get Tommy in here on line 2. We'll jam some more calls. Tommy, what's up, buddy?
Leland, love the show.
Thank you, man.
Give AJ a raise.
I know it.
Despite all the massing going on in these elections, I don't think Republican leadership gets it about these high gas prices and not finishing the job in Iran. And I'm afraid that they're not going to pay attention to us. It's going to cost them in the midterms, and it's going to be a fight for our lives for another 2 years to try to recover from it and keep the Dems out of power. If the Dems get back in power, Lord help us all.
Well, I mean, you said a lot right there. We'll keep an eye on things. There's a lot of optimism in the oil barrel price came down to 96 today. I think the minute there's clarity on this situation with Iran, if that happens, gas prices are going to just plummet. There's so much extra oil on the markets. The supply and demand equation alone will set us up for that. But Tommy, you got anything else? I think we dropped off with Tommy. All right, man, I am trying to cover some territory. Hey, Jay, let me just talk about some other stuff. I'm too stressed out right now, and I haven't had time to drag you into this. I went and bought, I finally, after studying, do you ever get online and you'll study something that you're trying to buy and you just look at it and think about it?
Yes, all the time.
I have looked at e-bikes for 6 months and I keep getting the ads and I get obsessed. I'll sit for 2 hours after the show and just watch reviews. Well, I finally we went and bought 2 of them today. I don't know what we're going to do with them, but we wanted them and it's time. We got some summer travel and I'd never really ridden one, even though I've been looking at them all this time. Dude, they're fun. You gotta get some, and we'll go e-biking.
Man, look, you're talking about language right now.
You ain't got a pedal going up the hills, AJ. You just put your little thumb, and it takes you up the hill. That's the thing that keeps a lot of us from biking in the first place. I mean, who needs exercise when you can just push a button? No, the reason I bring it up is because they're outside my window right now. We had to bring them in, got them in out of the rain. And little mama over here is obsessed with hers. And she started in on me when we went down this road. I don't know if your wife ever does this. She wanted us to have matching bicycles. Like they had to be the same. So we would look cute when we went and did stuff. And I was just on my internal man child. I was like, no. Because she wanted like one of those little beach bikes where you put a little loaf of bread in the basket and ride around with the little handlebars. And I'm like, no. I wanted one that looks, it was basically a motorcycle. So somewhere in between, we had to compromise. So we wound up with a compromise I think it's going to make everybody happy. Because I got a dude model and she got a girly model. And see, you talk about these gas prices. We'll be able to get around. And she got a more girly model, but they're just almost the same color. So that kind of, and the same brand. So that kind of worked out. So all I'm saying is I'll be nerding out. I will not be, however, out on the roads in my little skinny tight pants. Because one, I don't own any of them. Pissing people off on the highway. I will not be doing that. Just not going to do it. Got too much respect for my fellow man. Some of y'all do that. One of my sons does that. To each his own. I'm not going there. These are for dirt and off-road. Is what I'm saying anyway. But we'll see. I'm pretty excited. I'm staring at mine now. I want to go ride it, but it's raining. Lanius Furniture Company bringing you the show tonight. Launius, LauniusFurnitureCompany.com. Y'all, they're so good at what they do at Lanius. And they've got a sale going on through Memorial Day. I've already told you about it a couple of times. Let me just tell you again. From now through Memorial Day, they've got motion pieces, everything you can imagine. Lazy Boys, recliners, leather recliners starting at $5.99. Huge shipment came in a couple of days ago, and they went ahead and put them on sale. Get ahead of the rush and get the good pickings. A massive inventory at this store, an acre of furniture. It's going to be kind of on again, off again, bad weather this weekend. If you don't have big plans, just go hang out at Lanius. Take your time, browse around, check out the furniture, and get $100 off every $1,000 that you spend right now at Lanius. LaniusFurnitureCompany.com. LaniusFurnitureCompany.com. Back here in just a minute. All right, y'all, 535, rain coming down where I am, and a lot of it on the way tonight, so look out for it. Here's Thomas over at Stockton Mortgage to get us updated on those guys this afternoon. Thomas, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, man, it's all sunshine and rainbows over here, man. We're making dreams realities for
Yeah.
putting people in homes. And, hey, I wanted to go over a question that I got today, and I thought your listeners would it would help your listeners. Somebody called me about what does it mean and how do you qualify for first-time home buyer programs? Well, you don't necessarily have to be a first-time home buyer in the sense where you've never owned a home ever in your life. First-time home buyer programs define a first-time home buyer by you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. So if you have owned a home, sold it, and maybe you've been renting or living with family for the last 3 years, and now you're back in the market to buy another home, you can qualify for all the down payment assistance programs and all of the first-time homebuyer programs again, just like you've never owned a home. So if you are in the market, if you're living with family, or if you're renting and now you're looking to buy a new home after have been living with family and for the last 3 years, you can qualify for all of those fantastic programs that you did when you first bought a home, all those first-time homebuyer programs. So give us a call. Let us sit down, put you in a home today, 205-859-8859, or savewithstockton.com.
Savewithstockton.com. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you, Thomas.
Yes, sir, man. All right.
Check
Bye-bye.
with you tomorrow. All right, let's go back to the phones. I told you all phones. Let's do phones. Phil is up next. What's up, Phil?
Hey there, Leland. I had a question with regard to the fuel prices, with specifically what I'm hearing in the regular media and as to what I just heard you discussing with the gentleman who was the previous caller.
Yeah, go, man.
I'm a little bit confused. Now, you were talking about how there's so much oil out there that once this thing's going to eventually pop, it's going to drop the prices way down there. However, I want to say I was reading something yesterday, the day before online. It was everywhere. It seemed to be, I know the mainstream media, you can't always trust them, but I was looking at something that talked about like the international oil reserve or some sort of an international supply, I guess. And they say that it's going lower and lower, and that if it does go any lower, it's I guess, ready to run out. And if it does that, this ridiculous price that we're already paying is only going to get higher. So I'm curious, does that mean that what's really going on here? Is there an excess, or are they holding back on the excess? What's really going on? What say you, sir?
Well, this is, and I'm putting this very much layman's terms, but so you have an oversupply simply because there were hundreds of vessels, millions of gallons each, that are trapped in the strait that can't get out. So you got oil floating there. The Iranians started dumping everything they could pump onto the same kind of vessels. We wouldn't let them move, but we let them keep pumping. So they've loaded up their vessels to the point where now they're dumping it in the ocean to keep from having to shut down their wells. What that story I think is referring to, not having seen the exact story, is there are reserves, just like we have a strategic reserve here in the United States that, by the way, Biden sold off as much as he could to help himself politically. It's for emergencies. Other countries have similar reserves. It doesn't mean just their whole inventory. Now, Europe is burning through it, and so the demand is there, but because it's a consumable, they're burning through it. But we're resupplying them right now out of Alaska and the United States, because the world economics dictates that the path of least resistance tends to come into play because there's a current demand. So they started sending their tankers to Baton Rouge, and they're sending their tankers to Alaska, and we're kind of oversupplying the world right now to keep them up. They'll have to replenish their strategic reserves whenever everything gets back mainline, but we've got oil that's out of the ground, floating around, looking for markets that's trapped in the strait. Not to mention if we don't have to go and blow up the capacity of the Iranians, and you've got Venezuela. That's another part of this equation. After Maduro got taken out, we had to go down and retool Venezuela. We sent private companies down. Our energy companies are down there bringing their equipment back up to speed. Their oil's thick and difficult to get out of the ground. So that should all be coming out of the ground. The estimate I read, about 2 weeks ago was somewhere late July and August. So you're going to have a freeing up of the oil that's held hostage because of the Strait. You've got already, we're overproducing. Our problem here is limited refinery capacity. So no matter how much we pull out of the ground, our refineries can only crank so much gas out. And that goes back decades of neglect on building new refineries. So we're kind of at capacity right now. But like you saw today with an instant price drop, the minute there was relief over a potential peace deal, what the markets are doing with that is they know the supply demand equation gets changed the minute this is over, and they've got to now absorb all that inventory. So that's going to probably shoot the barrel price down under $80.
Okay. 2 follow-up questions then, as far as it goes, if I may. First of all, thank you, because you answered one of my 3 questions, so now it's just 2.
Okay.
With regard to refineries, is the current president, current administration, for that matter, is there any sort of talk going on about either adding new refineries, updating what we do have, maybe creating new, whatever it might be? And as far as it goes with that price, is there some sort of a chance of, I remember when Trump was in office from 2016 to 2020, there was a major run on gas to where it was going for about $1 a barrel or something silly like that. Will we get back at that point let Because, heck, I would love to throw my hat in the stock ring if I could on that stuff.
Yeah. Okay, that's an excellent question, Phil, and I like the way you asked it. Let me see if I can put my head around that and answer it the right way. So the refinery capacity is multifaceted, the reason it's limited, and it's largely government, and California has a lot to do with it. So government restrictions, say here in Jefferson County, for a while we were in this thing called non-attainment. So we had to blend, I think it was 15% ethanol into the gas to get to attainment. So every time you have these varying formulas that have to go through the refinery process, it complicates the refinery process. So some of that is the corn lobby years ago started buying off members of Congress, Archer Daniels, Midland, and all these giant corporate corn farms to sort of force us to put corn in our gas tanks. It's ruining engines. We shouldn't be doing it. It's not any better for the environment because they're polluting the oceans with the pesticide they're putting on the corn so we can put it in our gas and spew it into the atmosphere. It's silly. But it's Congress, and they get paid to do stuff, and they got paid to do this back in the 80s, and it's built, and it's become institutional. Then you get California, who's so restrictive. They've got a big major refinery that used to pump, I think, 50 million gallons a day or something crazy like that. It's been offline for decades. They're trying to get it back online. There's some investment going to it, but California keeps filing lawsuits. Environmental groups keep trying to shut it down. So the refiners have to, as much as Trump might want to, he can't just wave a wand and order a refinery be built. It takes a long time to build one, multiple billions of dollars to make it happen. And they're not going to make the investment because Trump's gone in 2 years. I don't even know if you can get a refinery built in 2 years. And whoever the next president is can undo those initiatives, especially if it's a booger eater from the Democrat Party. So, and it could be one of these wimps in the Republican Party too. So they can't place that investment yet. So they're forced to retool and reformulate every time there's a new batch that they got to work to send to a specific state for a reason. Californians won't let their own, they consume a lot, but they won't let refinery happen closer to them. And then all the liability that goes with it, the uncertainty of the government regulations, the corn and the fuel, all these things have conspired to limit refining capacity. No matter how much we pump, we were all drill, baby drill, and fracking and all, and that's great. But no matter how much we pump, we're still on the other end of that. What comes out of the ground doesn't go in our gas tanks, as you know. It's got to be refined. And all of our petroleum comes from the refinery process, everything, the jet fuel, kerosene, this stuff, diesel, plastics, all the residual stuff, petroleum jelly. I mean, all of it comes from the refining process. And we're going to be behind on that until we take a serious effort to build one. And you couldn't even count on the Republicans in Congress to back the president if there was some legislation to make that happen. I know that's a long answer, but that's the only way I know to answer it, because it's a very complex problem.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. I mean, I think it was actually perfect for what I was asking. Thank you. I mean, there's several other things I probably could ask, but you know what, though? I'm going to go ahead and hang up here and let other people actually get their turn. I truly appreciate it, sir. God bless you all. God bless AJ, and I hope you guys have a great day. And hey, best of luck with the e-bike. I mean,
Thanks, man.
I'm holding out myself. I'm holding out. I still want to pedal old school, so we'll see.
Yeah, I know it. You can do that. I guess you can do both. It was just kind of new for us because we're doing a bunch of stuff out west, so we decided, heck, YOLO. So here we are. And now I'm watching my wife use a flashlight to look at. She's trying to. Hey, thanks, Phil. AJ, she's trying to pair it with her phone. You got to pair your freaking bicycle with a phone now, like it all. It's got this smart tech on it. I'm probably one up selling it. I don't know. Maybe I'll love it. I'm just out here. I'm amused by this display of mechanical prowess that she is exhibiting. It. She can't even hear me right now, so I can just say what I want. At least for now, I'll get my butt chewed in about 15 minutes. All right, yeah, she's out there like AJ. She was about to put her own fenders on. It came with a kit, little fenders, you know. She wanted to add to it. I was like, I'll pop those on. So she's out there. I look out the window. She's got the box open. She's about to mount fenders on. I'm like, woman, if I went in the kitchen and just started pulling out pans and started cooking and just messing up the kitchen, she'd throw something at me and run me off. I'm like, this is my kitchen. These are my tools. This is my job. The hell out of my barn. I didn't say that, but I was thinking it. I was scared to say it, but I was thinking it. Y'all don't tell her I said that. Alabama Dental. That's my dentist. That's her dentist. That's AJ's dentist. It's Dr. Brian and the whole team there. 4 dentists, crazy good hours, till 7 at night, on the weekends, on Saturdays. Y'all go and see them. AlabamaDental.com. The latest technology, they're the kind of, I've used our colleague over and over this week in her story. She had an injury. She came in the studio in a panic, wanting to know, how do I reach your dentist? She knows about Alabama Dental, but wanted to make sure tooth was about to come out where she had a fall. And it's that kind of scenario. You never know when something like that's going to happen. You chip a tooth or bite down on something or something crazy happens. And you don't want to wait days to get into your dentist. Alabama Dental's got 7 o'clock hours during the week, tonight. Another hour and 15 minutes. Heck, I'll even be done in 15 minutes. They'll still be there doing the work for people. And they show up on Saturdays in case you have things like that. And if you're already a patient of theirs, I'm sure that makes it even easier to get in. So get in on the patient list and get your cleanings and your x-rays and all that done with alabamadental.com. Over in Irondale, if you want to know the location, worth the drive from all over town, alabamadental.com. Back here for one more segment right after this. All right, let's sweep up and do a couple more things, and we'll call it a day. We may have time to squeeze one or two more calls in here. FloorTech concrete coatings, man, y'all. I'm sitting here measuring my whole barn. I'm wondering what that would cost. This is beautiful stuff. It works. The old concrete coatings, some of you may even have them in your garage now, or try to do this. Sometimes you can do-it-yourself kits with this stuff. They just fail, and people kind of got used to it. You put it down. A few months later, it yellows, the color changes, and then it starts to peel. It just won't last. It's because of the ingredients. And I learned all that when I went to meet Kevin over at FloorTech. Alabama owned and operated. They went in the lab and just came up with a better product. And it came down to taking the solvents. He can explain it way better than me, and they will. They'll come out to your house and tell you how it works. But getting the solvents out of the actual purity of the product. And then the product just lasts forever. They back it with a lifetime warranty that is transferable with your home. You've got your choice of colors. So, I mean, you can sit there and play with the color. They've got this, let me try to describe it, a little iPad, and it's got a slider on it, like a screen slider. You can adjust that color to exactly where you want it with the exact amount of flake in there, a whole lot or a little bit, and they'll produce that for you. They'll put a formula together. And when they come and put it down with their own installers, it's going to stay. And you're going to be proud of it, and it's going to do what you want it to do, is make your floor look good, resist oils and stains and other stuff that happen on these very porous concrete floors. It's called FloorTech, and again, they're local. They'll get right out to you and give you a visit and show you how it works and let you pick your colors. You put a K in there when you spell it, Floor Tech, T-E-K, FloorTechCoatings.com. Very simple. FloorTechCoatings.com. Y'all reach out to Kevin and his team and let them show you what they can do and make your garage beautiful as we clean up and spruce up for spring and summer. FloorTechCoatings.com. Well, I saw this tragic story come across a minute ago. I kept seeing Kyle Busch's face pop up on some of my news feeds. Wasn't sure what it was about. I thought it was just a race car story. And turns out this young man, one of the epic winners, I think, what did he win the main championship 2 times, AJ? I read
the
here.
NASCAR Cup Series.
The NASCAR Cup Series. AJ is more the expert on NASCAR than me on the show, but he has passed away at 41 years old. And so a shock to the NASCAR fan base. This is coming on the heels of that terrible plane crash, which is now being investigated potentially as intentional. Is it Greg Biffle was that driver's name? I'm just not trying to be flip. I just don't know as much about NASCAR as the average bear. This just seems sad. There's pictures of him and his family. And it appears maybe AJ he had an illness that he'd been dealing with.
It just seemed like I'm looking at reports right now, and from what some of the stories are saying, that he had a severe illness and then was hospitalized and tragically passed away today. So it's
that's
heartbreaking.
That's with that age, I'm going to want to know more. I'm going to want to know what could happen so suddenly to somebody that young. So there's that. And then real quick, I forgot to get to this earlier in the show. We've been watching this situation in the Congo with Ebola, and now there have been some flights from the area and from other parts of Europe with people that had been in the Congo that are now being diverted. We had a flight the other night that was coming into Detroit, but they sent it, the United States government would not let that flight land, and they sent it to Montreal. And I think it was going between France and Detroit. And it's because of a concern that passengers on the plane had been in proximity to the Ebola outbreak that's going on in Africa. So airplanes are carriers. They don't just carry us, they carry the things that we're carrying, right? And so there's a lot of, can you imagine being on that flight? I mean, you're just trying to get from Europe back to Detroit for some reason, and you think there might be an Ebola patient on the flight. Ugh, that's just creepy, man. But we got to deal with it, and we've seen this before when there's been an outbreak. It's not completely contained in the country where it started, but the world is kind of watching that too. It's not a disease that's likely to spread like a COVID, but you can't have a loose case get out of the Congo. And we're working, the World Health Community, I guess, is keeping an eye on that situation. Birmingham Broker, one more time for Craig and Keith, the nose guys. BHAMBroker.com, BHAMBroker.com. man, let them sell your car, truck, or SUV. It's a whole lot better than trying to do it yourself. You'll get more money than you will trading it in, and they do all the work. It just makes mathematical sense, stress sense. By the way, they've got a great shop. They've added a sort of a different business right there in the same building, this BB Electric Moto. Now, that is not what I'm talking about with little e-bicycles. These are like off-road motorcycles that are amazing. All kind of shapes and sizes, tons of fun. Y'all go check those out. Your kids may be interested in those for Christmas or even for just summer fun. If you're downtown and even if you're not trading a car right now, y'all pop by Birmingham Broker and go over to the BB Electric Moto side and see those things. They might even let you test drive one. That's how they do it. Downtown Birmingham, 4th Avenue South, Birmingham Broker. All right, we'll see y'all tomorrow on Memorial Day weekend eve. Look out for the storms tonight, too. It's a little bumpy out there. Stay tuned for Breaking Bread.
All right. Goodbye, AJ.